Ready for a deep dive into a world that's hiding in plain sight.
Sounds intriguing.
We're about to shuffle up everything you thought you knew about playing cards.
Okay.
Forget poker night.
Right.
We're talking ancient origins, secret codes, and maybe even a bit of fortune telling.
I like where this is going.
Our guide for this journey. Excerpts from the Playing Card Oracle's Sourcebook.
Okay, I'm familiar with that one.
It's packed with, seriously intriguing history.
Yeah, it's amazing how something so commonplace,
I know.
something you might find in a junk drawer even,
Seriously.
could hold such a rich tapestry of hidden meanings.
I've always loved card games, but learning that no one even knows for sure who invented playing cards.
Right.
That's a mystery I did not expect.
Yeah.
The sourcebook mentioned something about the earliest record being from, a German monk.
Yes, Johannes of Basel, back in the 14th century. He documented a deck that's strikingly similar to what we use today. 52 cards, the 4 suits, even kings as the 13th card.
So the deck we know was basically, fully formed back then.
Pretty much, yeah.
It makes you wonder, did someone just stumble on this perfect system? Or is there something more we're missing?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
And it gets even more intriguing when you consider that some believe playing cards were initially designed for divination.
Really?
There's a whole calendar system embedded in a deck.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I guess I never thought about how 52 cards match up with the weeks in a year. But that's kind of hard to ignore now that you mention it.
Exactly. And then there are 13 cards per suit reflecting the lunar months, and the 4 suits themselves representing the seasons.
Okay, that's way too much of a coincidence. It's like a puzzle where someone's already arranged all the edge pieces for you.
Right.
But doesn't that leave us a day short? 365 days in a year, not 364.
That's where understanding the historical context is key.
Okay.
Before Pope Gregory III's calendar reforms in the 16th century, many cultures, especially those reliant on agriculture, followed a lunar calendar, more closely aligned with the 364-day cycle.
So playing cards as a tool for understanding these natural cycles,
Potentially.
even before they were used for games.
Yeah.
That's a fascinating possibility. It kind of flips the script on what we think of as, quote-unquote, fortune-telling tools, doesn't it?
It does indeed. Speaking of which, the sourcebook also mentions a curious detail about how the number 10 was represented in some old decks.
Oh, yes. The banner 10. It was almost a court card itself, instead of just having the usual number of pips.
What's fascinating here is the potential link to numerology.
Okay.
The idea that numbers hold, deeper meanings. In numerology, odd numbers are often seen as masculine, even numbers as feminine.
Oh.
Notice how in a deck of cards, the king, a masculine figure, falls on 13, an odd number, queens on 12, an even number, and so on. So some scholars have suggested that the banner 10, which we know is sometimes depicted as a female figure,
Right.
might actually represent a 4th court card, a lady, if you will.
Wait, a 4th court card? That changes the entire dynamic. What could this lady card have represented symbolically? What did this reveal about the culture that used it?
Those are questions worth pondering. It's possible this banner 10 visually separated the compound number from the root numbers 1 through 9 in numerology. Some scholars even suggest it could have been a way to further balance the court's gender representation, aligning with those numerological principles.
Mm-hmm.
And if we think about it, a lady card could add a whole other layer of interpretation to readings,
Yeah, definitely.
perhaps representing wisdom, intuition, or a different facet of leadership.
That's making me rethink the whole concept of court cards.
Yeah.
It's they're not just static figures,
Yeah.
but reflections of broader cultural beliefs and practices.
Precisely. And when we delve into the Islamic world's influence on playing cards, it gets even more intriguing.
Speaking of cultural influence, I was intrigued by the Islamic decks mentioned in the sourcebook. You didn't have hearts, diamonds, and all that, did they?
Not quite. While cards likely originated in China for games, the 52 card structure we're familiar with might be an Islamic development. We even have surviving cards from as early as the 13th century, but their suits were things like swords, polo sticks, cups, and coins.
Swords and polo sticks. Now, those are some evocative images.
Yeah,
It really paints a picture of a different time and place.
it does.
It makes you wonder, how did those early Islamic suits evolve into the ones we use today?
That's a connection we'll be exploring more deeply as we continue this deep dive. But for now, let's consider why playing card origins are shrouded in so much mystery.
Okay.
The sourcebook suggests that secrecy, especially around divination practices, might have played a significant role.
So we've got these potentially powerful divination tools
Yeah.
cloaked in secrecy,
Right.
making their way across cultures. It feels like the setup for a historical thriller, doesn't it?
It really does.
Imagine those early encounters.
Yeah.
These cards arriving in Europe,
Right.
stripped of their original context, and presented as a simple game.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant strategy.
It is.
By introducing the cards as a game,
Yeah.
they could preserve their secret knowledge
Yeah.
while making them seem less threatening,
Right. Exactly.
like a little book of secrets disguised as something you'd use for a bit of fun on a rainy day.
Yeah.
This whole idea of secrecy really makes you reconsider those gaps in the historical record.
It does.
If this knowledge was carefully guarded,
Right.
it makes sense that it wasn't exactly documented in detail,
Yeah.
especially when you consider how divination was often viewed with suspicion.
Absolutely.
It's almost like a whisper down the lane,
Yeah.
where instead of a message,
Yeah.
it's an entire system of divination that's lost in translation.
A very apt analogy.
And this loss of context might explain why in Europe,
Yeah.
playing cards became so popular for games,
Right.
even though their structure seems almost tailor-made for something more.
Exactly.
It does make you chuckle thinking about it.
It does.
This carefully guarded secret knowledge makes its way to a new culture.
Right.
And they're like,
Yeah.
cool, new game.
New game. Awesome.
But I guess games themselves can hold meaning
They can.
and reflect deeper truths, right?
Absolutely.
The Sourcebook mentioned something about the interplay of chance and structure
Yes.
being important in both games and divination.
It is. It is.
Think about it.
Yeah.
When we shuffle a deck,
Yeah.
we're introducing randomness,
Mm.
chance,
Yes.
but the rules of the game,
Right.
the structure,
Yes.
provide a framework
Yeah.
for navigating that randomness.
That's right.
It's a lot like life, wouldn't you say?
It really is.
In that we can't control everything. We
Exactly.
encounter unexpected events,
Right.
chance occurrences,
Yeah.
but we also have structures.
We do.
Our beliefs,
Yes.
our values,
Yeah.
our experiences
Right.
that help us make sense of it all.
That's right.
So playing cards,
Yes.
in a way,
Yeah.
are like a microcosm of that larger process.
Right.
We shuffle, we deal,
Yeah.
we play the hand we're dealt,
We do.
but all within a set of rules.
Using the rules. Yeah.
And maybe
Yeah.
by understanding those rules,
Okay.
those structures,
Mm.
we gain a deeper understanding of ourselves
That's right.
and the forces at play around us.
It's true.
And this interplay of chance and structure
Yes.
is also at the heart of divination.
Absolutely.
We might draw a random card,
Right.
but its meaning is interpreted within a system,
Yeah.
a structure of knowledge.
It is.
Just as our personal experiences provide context for understanding life's ups and downs.
That's right. That's right.
It's like the cards are providing a snapshot of possibilities,
Yeah.
but we bring our own interpretations to the table.
That's right.
Connect the dots in a way that's relevant to our own journey.
Exactly.
And that's where intuition and personal experience become so important.
Yes, they do.
The Sourcebook really emphasizes that the cards are a tool, a guide,
A guide. Right?
but the ultimate meaning is co-created by the reader and the seeker,
That's right.
which makes it much more interactive and empowering
Absolutely.
than just blindly following a fixed set of meanings.
Yes. I agree.
It's a dialogue,
It is.
not a dictation.
Yes.
So if those early Islamic decks were part of that dialogue,
Mm-hmm.
I'm even more curious about those suits.
Okay.
Boards, polo sticks, cups, and coins.
Yes.
They sound so evocative,
They do.
almost like archetypes themselves.
They are incredible images, aren't they?
They seem to speak to fundamental aspects of the human experience.
Yeah.
Power, action,
Um,
motion,
Right.
material wealth.
Yes.
It's not hard to see how those concepts might have carried over,
Right?
even as the specific symbols evolved over time.
Exactly. That's right.
Like a language where the words might change,
Yeah.
but the core ideas remain.
The core ideas remain. Yeah.
But how do we actually use these cards for divination today?
Well, the source book delves into different layouts or spreads
Right.
that offer insight into various areas of life.
Yeah.
But it emphasizes that intuition is paramount.
Right.
It cautions against getting bogged down in rigid interpretations
Okay.
and encourages viewing the cards as archetypes that resonate with our shared human experience.
So less about memorizing a dictionary of meanings,
Right.
more about letting the cards spark your own personal understanding.
That's it.
Kind of like how those Islamic suits,
Yes.
swords, polo sticks, cups, and coins
Right.
immediately evoke certain ideas.
They do.
Even though we don't use those exact symbols today.
That's a very insightful connection.
It's about tapping into that same intuitive process.
Yes.
Letting the cards speak to you in a language you understand.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
Finding the echoes of those ancient symbols and meanings in our modern interpretations.
I like that too.
So we're not just looking for like a direct translation.
Right.
But a deeper resonance.
Yes.
But for someone like me, who's intrigued but clueless,
Yeah.
where do you even begin to tap into that? Does the playing card Oracle's Sourcebook offer any like practical advice
It does.
for actually using the cards?
It suggests starting with a simple 3-card spread. You can
Yes.
ask a specific question.
Right.
Or simply seek general guidance.
Okay.
The act of shuffling itself, as we've discussed,
Yeah.
has that wonderful link to ancient practices
Right.
of introducing chance and seeking meaning.
Right.
Then you simply draw 3 cards and see what resonates.
And then just look up those cards in a book of meanings.
Well,
Or is there more to it than that?
the Sourcebook does offer some traditional interpretations,
Okay.
but it encourages going beyond the literal.
Okay.
It's about looking at the cards in front of you,
Yeah.
noticing your gut feelings,
Okay.
any images that come to mind,
Right.
almost like they're sparking a conversation
Okay.
rather than giving a lecture.
So it's not about finding the right answer,
Right.
but letting your own intuition guide you.
Exactly.
That takes the pressure off, doesn't it?
It
It
does.
becomes less about being right
Right.
and more about self-discovery.
Yes, exactly.
And that's where those whispers of meaning that we've been talking about
Yeah,
really come into play.
I do.
It's about trusting your own ability to
Right.
to connect the dots,
Yes,
to find relevance within the patterns.
that's it.
That actually makes me think of those Islamic suits again.
Okay.
Even though we might not use swords or polo sticks,
Yeah.
literally,
Right.
just hearing those words
Yeah.
evokes a sense of action, of competition,
Right.
of different approaches to life.
Exactly.
Like those underlying concepts still resonate,
They do.
even if the symbols have shifted over time.
What a fantastic observation.
Thanks.
It really highlights how playing card divination is a living tradition,
Yeah.
a language that's constantly evolving.
Right.
And like learning any language, it
Yeah.
takes practice. The more you work with the cards,
Yeah.
the more fluent you become in their nuances,
Right.
their whispers.
That makes me think of this whole deep dive as our first lesson.
It is, yeah.
Getting a taste of the grammar and vocabulary of this hidden world.
Yes.
But instead of strict rules,
Right.
it's about finding what resonates, what
Yeah.
speaks to you personally.
That's beautifully put.
Oh, shucks.
And as you continue to explore,
Yeah.
you might be surprised by what you discover.
Okay.
Not just about the cards,
Right.
but about your own intuition,
Go.
your own ability to find meaning in the world around you.
Well, I've certainly learned that playing cards are much more than meets the eye.
They are.
It's like we've uncovered this secret history,
Yeah.
this hidden language that's been whispering to us all along.
All along.
And who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe this deep dive will inspire our listeners to listen a little more closely
Right.
to those whispers.
Yes.
Whether they're coming from a deck of cards or the world around them. That's a great way to put it.
Because sometimes
Yeah.
the most fascinating journeys are hidden in plain sight, just waiting for us to take a chance and explore.
That's right.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It was my pleasure.
Until next time.
Yes.
May your shuffles be insightful and your interpretations revealing.